We're still in Chapter 5, and this time we're looking at commas that set off. We're going to begin with the date. When you're going to use two commas to set off the year when the date in a sentence includes the month, the day, and the year. The comma should follow the year as well as the day. So we have December 5th, comma, 2003, comma, in Mill Valley, California. Now, I know this doesn't look correct, but it is correct the way it is. Now, you don't use a comma when just the month and the year is used in the sentence. So when you just have the month and the year, no comma. Now let's look at direct addresses. What is a direct address? A direct address is when you are stating to someone directly. The example I give here is in this sentence, are you sure, Sarah, that the tuition is due today? Another one is, I will guide you on your trip, Tammy. In each of the above sentences, I'm speaking to Sarah and Tammy directly. This means that both sentences are called direct addresses. Appositions. The definition of apposition is as follows. You have two adjacent nouns that have the same reference. Appositives, which is another name for apposition, are always set off with two commas unless they appear at the end of a sentence. The example I'm giving you is this sentence here. My brother's car, a sporty red convertible with bucket seats, is the envy of our family. Now the car is the noun, and the sporty red convertible with bucket seats, that is going to be our positive. They are a positive because it is referencing the car. Next, we're looking at parenthetical non-essential in Chapter 5. Parenthetical or non-essential elements. When we look at the parenthetical or non-essential, we're looking at words or phrases that are used parenthetically. It means they serve as an explanation or a qualification, but they do not affect the grammatical structure of the sentence. Basically, they are called non-essential, meaning they're not needed. So in the sentence I gave before, my brother's car, a sporty red convertible bucket seat, is the envy of our family. Actually, the sentence that has the phrase that has a sporty red convertible bucket seat is what we call the parenthetical or the non-essential. Again, a parenthetical or non-essential is an expression, is a phrase or clause that is inserted within as an effect or as it interrupts another phrase or a clause. We also call parenthetical expressions non-essential because we don't need them for the sentence structure to be correct. Here are some examples of parenthetical phrases or words. After all, as a matter of fact, by the way, consequently, for example, however, and so on. These elements usually used in a sentence are not really needed, but they're used to emphasize certain information. So this is an example of a non-essential or parenthetical. Strawberry jam, for instance, does not make a good spaghetti sauce. For instance is a parenthetical element or phrase. Uncle Charlie, when he was told about the reunion, was very happy. When he was told about the union, it's not really needed in order for the sentence to be correct, because we actually can say Uncle Charlie was very happy. Teachers, although they are essentially moody, like an occasional chuckle, Again, that phrase within the parentheses is not really needed in order for the sentence to be correct. Last but not least, the word however can be used at the beginning of a sentence, at the end of a sentence, or in the middle of a sentence, but it's really not needed. This is just to make emphasis on whatever we want to do. Now again, here's another parenthetical non-essential sentence. My niece, wearing a yellow jumpsuit, is playing in the living room. You can see what the parenthetical or the non-essential is, but how do you determine if it's needed or not? What you want to do is you want to read the sentence without the words set off. Example of this is, my niece is playing in the living room. So we don't really need wearing a yellow jumpsuit in order for the sentence to be correct. But it is correct when we say my niece wearing a yellow jumpsuit is playing in the living room. How to determine if a sentence has an essential and non-essential phrase or word in there? Look at this sentence, and if every word is needed for the sentence to make sense, then you don't want to use commas. Here's an example of one. I spent most of my life waiting to travel the world. This one is non-essential because, the next one I'm going to show you is non-essential because the words are not needed in order for the sentence to make sense. Then you are going to use the commas, and in this sentence here, I spent most of my life, nearly 60 years, as a computer geek. The nearly 60 years is not needed in order for the sentence to be correct.